Alright, so one of the spool holders is already broken, which is totally fine. I don't know what they've been through on these machines, or how old they are. One of the nice things about 3D printing is a lot of people just have already made modifications or like different designs for the printers, for things like spool holders, which you can literally just go online and download. So I found two different versions here. And I'm going to show you guys how to slice this particular one for 3D printing and sort of optimize your slicer settings for strength of the print. So I have gone through and already actually sliced this in Cura, and then I was like, I should do a video on this. Before I go over the slicer settings, I just want to address a few features of this model that help to make it stronger and or optimize printing. So for one, this print's supportless because of the way that it is laid out. Like, there's a completely flat side here, and this little sort of nub at the top, or sorry, not nub, this angle for the filament stopper that prevents the filament falling off the side of it has been given a little bit of an angle so that you don't need supports to print this. It'll just sort of slowly wind its way up instead of needing a whole column of supports running down the entire length of this side. The other big thing for strength is this little bevel or chamfer in this corner here. And what that's going to do, a lot of times 90-degree angles are sort of weak points in your prints. So if you have this filament spool hanging here and pulling down this way, it's printing on its side. If this was a 90-degree angle, it would probably end up snapping off, like, right here. And then dropping filament on the printer, and it would be kind of a bummer. By having this little bevel here, it kind of helps to distribute the weight a little bit better and create a stronger joint, which is one of the reasons that I'm using this, is because it does have this, and I don't need to manually add it in myself, aha! So hopefully this will be a good design. It has a pretty wide base, so hopefully it'll be, you know, strong enough to hold together. Anywho, slicer settings. We're using 0.4mm nozzles right now, so I just set my layer height to the highest reasonable value for that nozzle size, because I don't care if this is pretty, I just want it to not fall apart, and I want it to hold filament. Wall thickness, I did bump these up to 4 outlines with the 0.4mm nozzle. All of the outlines of this, there are 4 of them, should be 1.8mm thick when you're done. Fun random note, if you were using a 0.6mm nozzle, like I usually do, you would only need 3 outlines, and it would shave off about 25% of your print time? Is that math right? I could be wrong. But it would shave off some print time, and pretty much have the same strength and durability. I've also added more top and bottom layers to this. Just since it's a functional part, I like having, you know, sides that aren't super, super thin. So I just sort of, I'm not gonna lie, picked an arbitrary number, and I'm like, 5 sounds reasonably strong. Let's just try that. Great. Top and bottom infill pattern, I just did lines. I think it looks a little bit more organized, doesn't super matter. This isn't really relevant for this particular model. Z-seam, just picked whatever I had there, doesn't really matter. Again, not going for prettiness on this. For infill, I usually don't do anything like super crazy high. I did go with gyroid because that's the most efficient strength-wise, I think, out of all of the infill patterns in Cura. But you don't really need super high infill. If you're going for strength of functional parts, more walls are going to get you further than higher infill, unless you're doing something insane like doing like 70% infill or something, which I don't want to do because that's an ungodly amount of plastic to use. It'll also take forever to print. So I just sort of went with 10. Printing temperature and everything else just kind of leaving the same. I actually turned off supports completely for this model because, again, it doesn't need them. And build plate adhesion, so I actually turned that off as well. I've had pretty good luck with this kind of stuff sticking to the print beds, so it's enough area on this. I'm actually, you know what, I'm gonna set this to a skirt, why not, just in case. So I don't want anything, this should stick to the print bed fine. This is a large area of plastic for this model, so it shouldn't start like peeling up or anything weird like that. I did just decide to add the skirt just in case maybe there's not quite enough filament in the nozzle or something like that. It can work out any weird kinks before it gets to the actual printed bit. Apart from that, pretty much ready to slice. Theoretically it's going to take 5 hours. I imagine it's going to take more like 6. When I tried this with 20% infill for grins and it estimated like 6 hours 30 minutes, and I'm like, no. So I bumped that down. Hopefully that helps any of you guys, if not for this week, then for future stuff. But yeah, happy printing and things.